and good evening and a warm welcome to all the attendees for the webinar on digital personal data protection. It is indeed a pleasure to host you. And just for your information, this session is being recorded. So Cybergrid as an organization was established in the year 2020. And we are a fast growing company, and we are rapidly been doubling our revenue as well as a footprint on the number of customers year on year. Now I would like to hand over the session to Mia from Legit. She's the business development manager, and she will be taking us through the rest of the session. Thank you, and over to you, Mia.
Thank you so much, Godson, for that. Hi, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you to Cybergrid as well. My name is Mia Tolosits. I am the head of business development here at Legit, and I'm very excited to spend the next few minutes with you exploring one of the most critical topics in today's digital world, which is data privacy. So we are here today because we live in an era where privacy isn't just a regulatory requirement. It really serves as a cornerstone of trust and therefore business success. Because in today's world, every click, every transaction, every interaction generates data, and protecting the data has never been more important or equally as more challenging. So here is a quick agenda on what we will be covering in today's session. First, I'm going to introduce Legit and how we are transforming privacy challenges into opportunities. Then we'll discuss why data privacy matters with some of the real-world examples of the risks and consequences of non-compliance. And then we're going to take a look at the complex landscape of privacy compliance, as well as the challenges that businesses face when managing data privacy. And finally, Marian Bracic, remember the name, there will be a test, our CEO and a co-founder will show you how our solution, Data Privacy Manager, is helping businesses such as yours turn privacy compliance into competitive advantage, and why organizations around the world trust us to get it right. So our goal today is to leave you with some actionable insights and a clear understanding of how you can navigate these challenges and build trust through smarter security practices. So let us dive right in. Hang on, let me next. Just give me a moment. All right. So, who are we? So if you just close your eyes for just 1 second and imagine a world where businesses thrive on trust and where customers feel safe sharing their data. At Legit, this is the vision and what drives everything that we do. So our journey began with a very simple goal, which is to transform the complexity of data privacy into opportunity for growth. And today, we are proud to lead the way in privacy automation, supporting over 200 global clients across 40 countries with our cutting-edge solution. The kind of clients that we have helped, they have been from startups to global giants, and we help them to overcome daunting privacy challenges. But what really sets us apart, as you will shortly see, is our ability to provide you with an end-to-end solution, from data discovery and classification to compliance management and even secure data removal. We make sure that every aspect of your data privacy needs is covered. So moving on, why does data privacy matters, and what exactly is data privacy? Well, at its core, it's a practice of safeguarding personal information such as emails, names, financial details, date of birth, and so on, to make sure that it's collected, stored, and used responsibly as well as lawfully. It's about giving individuals control over their data and respecting their rights. So if you just think of it at the core, data privacy is about building and maintaining trust between the organizations and the people whose data they handle. And trust is the foundation of every successful relationship. And now imagine what happens when the trust is broken. For example, in May last year, Meta was fined 1.2 billion. This was actually one of the largest GDPR penalties ever. And the reason for that was they were transferring EU users' data without safeguards. Or TikTok, which was mishandling children's data when they paid a 345 million fine. So these are just some of the cautionary tales about what can happen when data privacy is neglected. But we need to also look at the beyond these fines, because these companies lost something even more valuable, and that is their customers' trust. And in today's digital world, trust isn't optional, it is essential. And protecting personal information is the key to earning and keeping that trust. So think about navigating, navigating data privacy compliance. So it's really quite overwhelming because at every turn there is a new regulation. This is really a life, the challenge that businesses face today, because they're dealing with multiple different frameworks, like GDPR, DPDPA, and IT Act. So GDPR, it sets the global standards. It demands strict transparency and consent for data use. DPDPA, as you well know, it's India's forthcoming first cross-sectoral law on personal data protection. It emphasizes data localization as well as user empowerment. And the IT Act, which governs cybersecurity as well as data protection here in India. But these laws, you really shouldn't think about them as hurdles. These are really the opportunities to show your customers that you care about their privacy. And by complying, you're not only avoiding penalties, you're building trust. You're positioning your business as a responsible leader. So, what are some of the challenges in managing data privacy? Well, let me share a story. There was once a global company which realized that it really couldn't answer a very simple question, which is, where is our all sensitive data stored? Nobody knew. The lack of visibility led to fragmented processes, confusion, and ultimately fines. And this is something that many businesses face. This is like a typical struggles that we see with businesses that we work in day in, day out. And some of the struggles are identifying sensitive data, controlling who's having the access to the data, as well as keeping with changing regulation. A recent example, as we saw just earlier, is TikTok, which was fined 345 million euros for mishandling children's data due to the fragmented processes. So one thing that we can learn here is that data privacy isn't just about avoiding mistakes, it's about building system that prevents them. And this is where our solution comes in. So let me just move on to the next slide. And this is how Data Privacy Manager can help to solve your data privacy challenges. So if you can just imagine a world where managing data privacy is no longer a headache, but it's streamlined and automated process. That's the world Data Privacy Manager creates. So our platform acts like a GPS for your privacy compliance journey. It automates tasks like data mapping and reporting. This saves you time, reduces human error, And it ensures that only right people access sensitive data, and it also helps you to adapt to evolving laws, so you're always one step ahead of the curve. And one of the feedbacks that we had from our clients is that this tool didn't just help to solve their privacy problems, it really transformed the way that they think about the compliance. And this is really, truly the power of Data Privacy Manager. It turns challenges into opportunities for trust and growth. So, why chose us? Well, let me tell you why companies such as global brands like AstraZeneca, Virgin Mobile choose Data Privacy Manager. It isn't just because it's scalable, because it is, or because it automates the privacy tasks, because it does, but it's because it empowers our clients to build something priceless that I mentioned at the beginning, and that is trust. So in a world where customers demand transparency, businesses need a solution that goes beyond compliance, and Data Privacy Manager helps you do that. And of course, you have some measurable return on investment, you reduce risks, you improve efficiency, and you are not just saving your resources, you are investing in a future where privacy is the foundation of your success. So we are now moving to the next, to the most exciting part, which is show you DPM in action and what exactly we do at Legit with Data Privacy Manager. So everything that I've mentioned, now you're gonna see live, and leading us in this is Marian Bracic, who is our CEO and co-founder. Marian has 15 years of experience in big data, AI, data management, as well as data protection. And he has been instrumental in creating innovative solutions that simplify privacy compliance. He has a very deep understanding of advanced technologies, including how AI is shaping data ecosystems, and he empowers businesses to confidently navigate the complexity of privacy in a fast evolving digital landscape. So get ready to see how Data Privacy Manager can transform your approach to data privacy. And over to you now, Marian.
Thank you, Mia, very much. So let me just share my screen and continue to the next part of the webinar. So hopefully you can see my slides. And I would like to say again, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mia, again, and thank you, Godson, and our partners at Cybergrid Solutions India. I'd like to extend a warm welcome and express my gratitude to each of you joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you with us for the webinar. So today I'm going to be diving into an important topic of evaluating the maturity of your privacy program with our state of privacy assessment and building a robust and automated privacy program with Data Privacy Manager. So we'll be exploring our approach to automating your privacy program by implementing different parts of the DPM platform. Throughout today's session, I also encourage you to make the most out of the Q&A feature. It's a great way to engage with us. So we'll be dedicating the last 10 minutes of the webinar to answer your questions. So please feel free to share your thoughts and questions as we go along. During the webinar, I will guide you through our proven implementation approach for Data Privacy Manager, which is structured into 5 key phases. Phase 0 is state of privacy assessment, phase 1, data discovery, phase 2, privacy program management, phase 3, consent mastering, and phase 4, data removal. Each phase addresses specific challenges in achieving robust data privacy management, ensuring compliance with regulatory demands and building trust with stakeholders. We will explore how these phases work together to provide a comprehensive privacy solution, helping you overcome obstacles and simplify your compliance journey. So before moving on to explain what is phase 0 state of privacy assessment and how it's done, I would just like to briefly explain the reason why we introduced SOPA in the first place. So at Legit, as a software vendor, we were always firmly fixed on developing the best data privacy solution software out there. We talked to potential clients, jazzed up about how we can show them all the cool things our software can do. And starting with data discovery and how we classify personal data using artificial intelligence and provide super fast search of any personal data anywhere within the organization. Then we talk about the capabilities of our privacy program management, the automation of records of processing activities, risk assessments, third-party management, data subject requests, and so on. Then we would speak about managing consents and preferences, which is a wide topic covering marketing activities, omni-channel communication, analytics, and customer profiling, and all the needed capabilities to provide one central source of truth and end-to-end automation of consents. And just when we thought we had them at automated data retention and data removal, we'd hit a snag. It turned out the world of privacy management had grown legs. So it all became very complex. We were meeting folks who didn't have the full picture and who didn't understand the whats and wheres of tackling privacy management head-on. And there we were ready to go, but without a clear starting line. And let's be honest, almost every company we chatted with had done their homework. They had their gap analysis in hand with all the boxes ticked, contracts, policies, you name it, all neatly drafted out, most probably by lawyers. And it's a big but, there was a missing piece. So the real deal, the practical side of actually putting all those organizational and technical measures into play was often just not there. And this was our light bulb moment. We realized we needed to focus on assessing how well these measures were actually being implemented within the organization. So before rolling out the software, we needed to lay down a clear path for our customers and create a roadmap of sorts to help them navigate through the implementation process. And this is why we introduced the SOPA, which is kind of a phase 0 in our common implementation approach. So state of privacy assessment isn't just about pointing out what is missing. It's about providing clarity on where to start and what to tackle first. It's about looking beyond the paper-based compliance and ensuring that the fundamental ground level practices are solid. So before we talk about all the amazing features of DPM, let's first talk about getting the basics right. So state of privacy assessment is more than just a service. It's an independent external assessment crafted meticulously by the dedicated professionals at Legit. It also is done by our partners like Cybergrid Solutions. And both theirs and our goal is to provide you with a clear, objective insight into the privacy and data protection landscape within your organization. So SOPA is not a one-size-fits-all product, but a tailored service package that comes in two distinct flavors. The first is the basic SOPA. So this service is designed to dissect and analyze your current privacy compliance landscape, delivering a comprehensive maturity report that doesn't just highlight where you are, but also charts out a clear path forward with actionable recommendations. It's about understanding the nuances of your organization's privacy management program and empowering you to enhance it. And then there's also SOPA Plus. It takes the foundation laid by SOPA and builds upon it, offering something more, an executive summary crafted for the leadership team. SOPA Plus is comprehensive. It provides a detailed executive presentation, a thorough list of identified risks, and most critically, proposed mitigation measures. This level of detail is invaluable as it gives you and your leadership the information they need to make informed decisions that will safeguard your organization's future in the realm of privacy and data protection. Both SOPA and SOPA Plus are grounded in the belief that privacy and data protection are not just regulatory check marks and checkboxes, but are core to maintaining the trust and confidence pivotal in today's digital world. So let's just briefly talk about what SOPA can really do for you. So imagine sitting down for a coffee with someone who knows the ins and outs of privacy and data protection, who can give it to you straight, where you're nailing it and where you could use a bit of a boost. That's SOPA. You'll get the full picture, an objective look at your privacy setup. We are talking about a clear, honest snapshot that shows you exactly where you stand. Then there's the maturity report. Think of it as a health checkup for your privacy practices. It's comprehensive, but it's also digestible. We'll walk you through it so you can really understand what it all means. And we won't just leave you with a list of to-dos. We give you actionable recommendations that make sense for your business. These aren't just cookie-cutter solutions. They are customized, practical steps you can take to really improve your privacy game and minimize your compliance risks. For those who choose SOPA Plus, we've got executive summaries that cut through the noise and get down to what leaders need to know. It's about giving management the clarity and confidence to steer the ship. So at Legit, we pride ourselves on being your partner in this journey. My team and I are all in when it comes to privacy protection. We are your trusted advisors, and we set the standard for privacy excellence. So as we look at how we've adopted the NIST privacy framework, think of it as tailor making a suit. Just start with the best fabric, which in our case is the foundational principles of the NIST framework. Our job has been to take this exceptional material and tailor it to fit the unique challenges of our customers. Now, we all know that any organization can look great on paper with all the compliance boxes checked, what we call paper-based compliance. But what happens when we move beyond the paper? This is where our adapted methodology shines. It's designed to focus on the implementation of organizational strategies and the technical safeguards. Our primary goal is to help you transition from this paper-based compliance to something that's living and breathing within all areas of your company's privacy practices. It's about moving into a space where compliance is not just understood, but operationalized, integrated into the very fabric of your daily operations. To do this, we've fine-tuned the NIST privacy framework to align it more closely with not just regulations, but with real-world applications. And this means placing a strong emphasis on organizational and technical measures that are essential for the protection of personal data. We are talking about creating a privacy program that's proactive, resilient, and equipped for the future, whatever it may hold. So, after completing the State of Privacy Assessment, or SOPA, the real magic begins. This is where implementing the different modules of Data Privacy Manager starts to transform and automate the privacy program in your organization. DPM is designed as a modular solution, allowing you to select the modules most relevant to your needs first and expand with additional modules in any order you prefer. While SOPA helps us recommend priorities based on your current privacy maturity, it is also an optional phase for you. So the first phase where we actually implement the software is data discovery. And as you will see, both with data discovery, privacy program management, consent mastering, and data removal, there are different modules available within each product. So you select which modules you wish to use. But if you do SOPA with us, we will do the recommendations and actually build the roadmap for you. So what data discovery actually does is we can connect to any data source within the company. So we are talking about databases, applications, and document stores, both structured and unstructured data. And data discovery is designed to use artificial intelligence to automatically discover all personal data and to classify personal data within all data sources. And this, in essence, build a central repository, which is always kept up to date, where you can find information about all personal data. What is the type of personal data that you collect, that is collected by marketing, by sales, by retail, by HR department? Is there any new type of personal data you started to collect and store recently? And we build a data inventory, which is a queryable repository. So you can start finding risks within the company. And we are talking about privacy related risks. So are there sufficient organizational and technical measures implemented to secure and protect personal data that you have stored all across the company? And on top of the capability to discover and classify all personal data within the company, we also provide a way to do a really fast search for any personal data. So this means that you can search for anything: a name, an email address, a phone number, a text number, a customer ID, across all your data sources. And I'm talking about not only structured data in applications and databases, I'm also talking about images and scanned documents. So anything you have across the company. And this also helps you not only find and pinpoint all the documents and all the data objects where specific individuals' data is stored. It also helps you find and discover any shadow business processes where documents are duplicated, where you have old documents or documents that haven't been used for a lot of time, and where you keep sensitive information about people. So in a way, data discovery is a baseline to build further automation. And as any module, as any product within DPM, it's optional. But if you use data discovery, you are really building a strong baseline for your privacy program. Now, the second phase of implementing DPM is implementing the privacy program management. And privacy program management is designed to give the tools to actually keep information updated, to centralize all privacy-related documentation, to build a decentralized privacy governance model where you will have different roles and different stakeholders across the company, all with designated tasks related to building the privacy program. Not just having a DPO or privacy operations who will be in charge and actually understand what they need to do when it comes to data protection, but you will actually be able to use the software and build in workflows to delegate different tasks to different people across the company. So this is also where we have a workflow around keeping your records of processing activities up to date. And we are speaking about understanding every business process. So any processing of personal data done within any corner of the company. We also have a centralized inventory and workflows around keeping track of the third parties, of the vendors, of anyone with whom your organization shares and discloses personal data to. We have the tools to automate the risk assessments, such as the data protection impact assessments, third-party risk assessments, legitimate interest assessments, and also to provide you with knowledge with our built-in out-of-the-box templates for these assessments. We also have a centralized risk register, a way to manage requests coming from the individuals in relation to the fulfillment of their rights given by the regulation. We have a centralized incident management module, and we have a global regulatory database. So by using privacy program management, you really have a way of automating and building a robust privacy program across the company. Now, commonly, the third phase of implementing data privacy manager is to implement consent mastering. And consent mastering is all about providing end-to-end automation of collection of consents and personal data, having the central source of truth for consent, so understanding in real time what is the current status of consent for a specific individual for specific processing. And this also gives you control over downstream processing of data collected based on consents. So this means that if there are any marketing campaigns, any marketing platforms sending communication to the individuals, you will always be able to make sure that whatever you are doing with the data of individuals who have opted in for the processing of their data. And this is really important. And sometimes when we speak with customers and potential customers, they think that privacy is all about consent management. So it is not, but consent management is one of the key ingredients, one of the crucial components of really doing privacy the right way. So we have a very flexible platform which can be integrated with any of the existing systems and business processes that you currently have in your organizations. We always try to not only implement a robust privacy program, but not to do a big bang and change everything that is being done within the company, but actually gradually build this program. And this is why it's really important to use a platform that is scalable and that has many integration options like our data privacy manager. And the fourth phase of implementing data privacy manager is automating data removal. And when we say data removal, you can think of deletion of personal data or anonymization of personal data. So what we do is we actually keep track of the rules. So we use filers keepers. Filers keepers they're our partner, and they have a global database of retention rules. And this means that this is a database of over 300,000 records extracted from different laws all around the world, where there are rules about how long you as the organization can actually store specific categories of personal data, or how long you are allowed to store personal data. So what DPM does, it orchestrates data removal, and it actually keeps track of when you have lost your business and legal justification for processing personal data. So once you lose this business and legal justification, we can actually automate the removal of personal data across all the different data sources, across all the systems. Again, we are speaking both about the structured data, like in databases, Excel sheets, and applications, and unstructured data across the document stores that you might have in the company. So this is a modular and phased approach, and this approach ensures you can build a privacy program at your own pace while meeting critical regulatory and operational demands. So I will also use a couple of minutes to give you a look and feel of the platform. So DPM is a software platform which can either be used as a standard SaaS, meaning that it's hosted in the cloud, or it can be installed in a self-hosted environment. And by self-hosted environment, I mean it can be installed on premises, as a lot of big enterprise companies have security policies that don't allow them to use cloud-based applications easily, or it can be installed within your private cloud. One thing to understand about DPM is that the modularity works in a way that you can pick and choose which modules you want to use, and based on the subscription that you will have different modules available to you. So the DPM is not licensed per number of users as many other SaaS applications are. It is licensed per number of companies or organizations using it. So we have this multi-tenancy approach and configuration where you can have different legal entities actually using DPM with logical separation of data, and then you can have global users which have access to all the data, or you can have local users which can access only their local organization. So there isn't really time for me to do a deep, detailed demo of DPM. I just wanted to show you a look and feel of the platform. So for example, if we take a look at the data inventory as one of the business modules, this is where we have information or results coming from the data discovery scans. Again, we use artificial intelligence. We connect to different systems. In this case, I have connected to 4 different systems out of 36. So we have scanned 11% of the IT landscape within the company. We have discovered 18 different domains of personal data. So this would be 18 different types of personal data. There is 1,608 instances of personal data. Now, these are either different documents or tables and columns within the database where you store personal data. And then we could dive deeper into the data inventory and start asking questions like, show me all the locations where we keep and store passport numbers or email address informations or personal names and so on. So for each of the results, we'll get information about where personal data is actually stored, what is the level of confidence by the machine, so how certain we are that this is this specific type of personal data. In this case, this is the confidence level of this being an email address, or for example, we could search for passport number information. So we can see there are multiple locations where we as a company store passport information. So each of the modules has their dashboards, reports, specific information, like for example, in data processing inventory, we have information about records of processing activities. So we could dive into the location of personal data. What is the data that is hosted in India, for example? And we can see in this case, we have 2 different processing activities because we have a vendor in India to whom we disclose personal data for specific purposes and so on. So without going into any further details, I would like to leave a few minutes for your questions. So I think I will stop here and let Mia or Godson read your questions, and I'll try to answer with the best of my abilities.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Marian, for your presentation. So just to start with the questions, what are the most common mistakes businesses make in meeting privacy compliance requirements?
So yeah, this is an interesting question. The most common mistakes, I would say, are related to being too confident in their paper-based compliance. So what this means is that a lot of companies will do this exercise of the gap analysis and actually creating the procedures and documentation, privacy policies together with their lawyers. But leaning just on paper-based compliance is not really operationalizing and building a privacy program. So What we always suggest and have seen that is really the only way forward is actually using software automation and building privacy program in that way. So moving from the paper-based compliance to actually operationalizing the implementation of organizational and technical security measures for protecting personal data.
Thank you, Marianne. We have another question, which is how can tools like data privacy management, so DPM, simplify compliance for businesses?
So I would say, as with any other area today where businesses are going fully digital, we are speaking about diverse IT systems, data sources, and large volumes of data. Protecting personal data manually and leaning on manual processes to keep privacy-related information up to date is not realistic. So DPM offers a centralized platform for privacy governance and automates processes. Plus, it brings best practices into building the privacy program within the company. Be it that we are speaking about actually keeping track of where all personal data is and how it's being processed, managing consent and preferences, keeping an up-to-date records of processing activities and privacy risks assessments, or removing personal data once the company loses business and legal justification for processing. So there isn't an alternative to using software such as DPM, because manual building and maintaining of the privacy program just isn't realistic.
Okay, thank you for that. And the next question we have received is, what role does AI play in ensuring data privacy and managing compliance?
AI. So I would say that we can think of AI both from perspective of being a risk to privacy, which it is, and this is a long conversation to be had. But also we can focus on AI being used to protect personal data. And this is something that we are doing with DPM, where we use different AI technologies primarily to be able to automatically discover and classify personal data all across the data sources and to search for specific data across all data sources, but also to provide help with research. So for example, by creating privacy regulatory chatbots, helping the legal team and compliance team to actually find information and understand and consume information faster. And there is really a lot of ways in which AI can be used to help, but I think much longer conversation is to be had about how AI really poses a risk to data protection and privacy. But I think we can do a separate webinar on this topic later on.
For sure we can. And could you please maybe just briefly explain how can global companies ensure compliance across different regions?
Yeah, well, that is really a complex question, and global companies are really tackling this issue and finding it really difficult. And I will say again, so this is not something that can be done manually. So what they need to have is typically, depending on the organizational structure, a way to keep track of all the differences between privacy regulations in different geographies. So we know that, for example, in European Union, we have a common law, the GDPR, but if we think about India, if we think about Middle East, if we think about the US, and where global companies operate in all these different geographies, they really need to understand the differences and the nuances between the different regulations. And then one important thing is they need to have like a central management of all of the rules and what they are doing, because a lot of times companies will collect data coming from the individuals or belonging to the individuals that come from different geographies, and then different regulations will apply to them. So I think having a global regulatory database and like a global privacy management software for automation, which can take into account different configurations and different rules, is the only way in which global companies can make sure that they are automating compliance and staying compliant or minimizing compliance risks in such a complex environment.
Thank you so much for that. We have actually quite a few questions, so I'm just going to pick at random. Are there any restrictions with respect to the sectors that the solution supports?
So we have customers coming from almost all industries, and if you think about the requirements coming from the data protection regulations, such as the DPDPA Act, more or less they follow similar privacy principles, and any company processing personal data needs to be compliant with the Data Protection Act. And today, every company processes personal data. So there aren't any restrictions as to which industry the company belongs. And we have seen this in practice as we are solving almost the same or similar challenges to all of our customers, even though they belong to completely different verticals or industry sectors.
Okay, thank you. And what is the duration of the entire program from SOPA to automating removal? How long does it take?
So, of course, it depends on the complexity and the size of industry, but things like SOPA can be done really fast. I'm talking about maybe 2 to 4 weeks. Also, the implementation of data discovery and privacy program management can be done in a matter of a month. So if we are speaking about the complete implementation of privacy program, we are speaking about months. It can be a few months, it can be a little bit more for big complex companies, but what we always suggest to companies is start with SOPA or start with data discovery and privacy program management. Like, think big, start small, and they can be up and running with DPM in a matter of weeks, actually.
Mia and Marian, I have a couple of questions here live on LinkedIn. So first one says, are there any restrictions with respect to the sectors that the solution supports?
So this is very similar.
We have just covered that.
To the question I've covered, and the answer is, in short, no.
Yeah, and duration we have just covered right now. What is the duration of the entire program from self-assessment to automating removal? We have covered that also. The next question is, rules and regulations of DPDPA are yet not clear. Will this impact or change the way DPM is being implemented?
Not really. So what we expect is the brushing up the nuances, but the principles will stay the same. And we have seen similar all across the globe. So in different countries, we have very similar situations with the draft and the first text of the regulation, and then with the recommendations and guidelines from the regulatory bodies. So it really doesn't change the way in which DPM works, but there may be some specific configuration that needs to be done as we get the final guidelines.
Perfect.
Fantastic. And let's just try and squeeze one more, and that is basically, how does DPM integrate with all the other internal applications that store or use data?
So we have invested a lot of thinking and designing in DPM so that the integration can be as simple as possible. So we have many different integration options. We have out-of-the-box connectors. We have options for custom integration, libraries. We even have out-of-the-box portals for self-service and privacy management. So we try to make the integration process as smooth as possible. So there aren't really any restrictions when it comes to integrating DPM with other solutions within the company.
Okay, that's great. I know we are a little bit tight on time, so let's just try and squeeze one more if we can. And basically, how could we verify that the data removal happened or not?
Well, I mean, in short, that's really easy. So if when you are looking for something specific, and typically when you are trying to verify that data removal has happened, you are searching for something specific. Just by searching in the systems, in the productional systems, and not finding that data is one important aspect of it. And the second important aspect of it is to really have a detailed documented log of how you are doing scheduled, regular cleaning or removing of personal data from all the systems that you have. And by this, you can document the process, you can document the removal flows, the rules, how you keep track of the rules, and what is the volume of data objects that were removed from the systems, and so on. So it works both ways, by not finding or what you shouldn't have in the systems, and by actually having a documented process of data removal and detailed logs about the process itself.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Great. So Ankasha, why don't you take over for closing remarks, please?
Sure, thank you so much. It was such an informative session, Marianne and Mia. Thank you so much for taking time out. And I mean, I'm deeply heartened to see the number of participants we have on screen with us right now, and the kind of participation we have seen, the kind of questions we have received. So it truly talks volumes about where we as a country are, on the privacy journey, and how seriously as an organization and as a cybersecurity whole as an industry is taking privacy as such in India as well. So there's a lot to come. This was just a glimpse of what we have in store, and I look forward to having way more sessions like this. And the more questions we have, the more engagement we have with our audience, and the more we feel that okay, there is a requirement for something better or something way mature than what we have to offer, then it will be a two-way conversation which we have with our audience here in India. And that will help both of us, I mean, from organization perspective and industry perspective, to improve. So I'm very, very grateful for all of you who have joined us today on the session. And I wish everyone a very, very happy weekend. We are already on a Thursday, but we look forward to many more sessions like these.
Wonderful. Well, thank you everybody for taking the time and to engage with us. And we hope to hear from as many of you as possible in the near future. And have a great weekend, everybody.